Title: The Man in the Fog. Part 1: The Vanishing Town. The fog was unusually thick that morning when Thomas Grayson stepped off the 6:10 a.m. train at Elmridge station. He squinted at the unfamiliar surroundings, his suitcase dragging behind him, wheels barely audible on the old wooden platform. There was no one to greet him. No station master, no taxi driver, not even a bird in the sky. Just a heavy wall of mist that wrapped around the small town like a cold, wet shroud. Thomas, a journalist from New York, had come to Elmridge to investigate a strange series of disappearances. Over the past 2 months, 11 people had vanished, all last seen walking near the town square, right before fog rolled in. Locals whispered about a figure seen through the mist. A man, they said, barely visible, always watching. With each step toward the town center, the fog seemed to thicken. The buildings loomed like gray ghosts, their outlines fuzzy and uncertain. Thomas reached into his coat pocket, pulled out a worn photograph of his cousin, James, one of the missing. The image showed a smiling man in his early 30s, standing in front of the Elmridge Library. That was the last known location. Thomas reached the square and paused. It was dead silent, not a single person in sight. The silence was so complete, it made his ears ring. Suddenly, he heard it, a faint shuffle. He spun around. No one, just fog. He swallowed hard and walked toward the library. Part 2, The Library and the Legend. The library doors creaked open under his touch. Inside, the building smelled of dust and mildew. Bookshelves lined the walls, their contents long untouched. A single desk lamp flickered in the corner, casting eerie shadows across the floor. Behind the desk sat an old woman. "Looking for something?" she asked without lifting her eyes. "Yes, my cousin, James Grayson. He disappeared here 2 weeks ago." Now the woman looked up. Her eyes were pale gray, almost fog-colored. "You shouldn't have come." Thomas frowned. "What's going on here? Why is this town so empty?" She leaned in. "It's the fog. It brings him." "Him? The man in the fog?" Thomas chuckled nervously. "You mean the local legend?" "It's no legend," she said sharply. "He was once a man, a watchman, a guardian of this town. But after the fire at the lighthouse 40 years ago, he died, and something returned. Twisted, vengeful." Thomas felt a chill crawl up his back. "He comes with the fog," she whispered. "And those he touches disappear. Forever." Part 3, Whispers in the Mist. That night, Thomas checked into the only inn in town. The innkeeper, Mr. Harlow, was a nervous man with darting eyes. "I'd advise you not to go out after dark," he said, handing over the room key. "Not when it's foggy." "Because of the so-called man in the fog?" Thomas asked, smirking. Harlow didn't laugh. "You think it's funny? My own daughter vanished 2 months ago. She just walked out into the fog and never came back." Thomas didn't sleep much that night. Around 2 a.m., he heard something outside, a soft knock on his window, 3 slow taps. He froze. Another knock. He crept toward the window and peeked through the curtains. Nothing, only the fog, swirling thickly. And then a shadow, a tall man in a dark coat and wide-brimmed hat, standing across the street, completely still. Thomas stared. The figure didn't move. He blinked. Gone. Part 4, Into the Lighthouse. The next morning, Thomas made his way to the old lighthouse by the cliffs. According to town records, it had burned down in 1983 after a lightning strike. But when he arrived, he found the structure eerily intact, though blackened and cracked. He entered, the wooden floor groaning beneath his boots. The spiral staircase led up into darkness, with only a flashlight to guide him. He climbed, breath catching his throat with each step. Halfway up, the air turned icy, and then he heard it, a whisper. "Thomas." He froze. The whisper echoed around him, impossibly close. "Who's there?" No reply, just fog, creeping in through the shattered windows. He reached the top. In the circular room, an old lantern sat on the floor. The glass was cracked, the flame dead. He bent down to inspect it when a hand clamped down on his shoulder. He screamed and turned. No one, just the fog. But the fingerprints remained, red and burning on his coat. Part 5. The Truth Unveiled. Back at the inn, Thomas studied the town's archives. He found an article from 1983. It detailed the fire at the lighthouse. The watchman, Edgar Vale, had been trapped inside. Witnesses claimed he could have escaped, but instead, he remained at his post, trying to save a group of lost hikers using the beacon. They all perished. In the weeks after, townspeople reported seeing Edgar's ghost in the fog. Some claimed he was protecting the town. Others said he was punishing it for forgetting him. The disappearances began soon after. Thomas understood now. The man in the fog was Edgar, but twisted by sorrow, loneliness, and betrayal. And he was still watching. Part 6, the final night. That evening, Thomas stood in the town square waiting. The fog rolled in thicker than ever. Shapes moved around him. Shadows flickered at the edges of vision. Then he saw him, the man in the fog, tall, motionless, face hidden beneath the brim of his hat. Thomas took a step forward. "I know who you are," he shouted. The man didn't move. "You were a hero once, Edgar Vale. But this isn't justice. This is revenge." Still silent, Thomas walked closer. "You took my cousin. You took innocent people." The figure raised its hand. The fog swirled violently. Whispers filled the air. Screams echoed all around. Then darkness. Part 7 vanished. The next morning, the fog was gone. Bright sun bathed Elmridge in golden light. The townspeople slowly came out, dazed but alive. But Thomas Grayson was nowhere to be found. Only his notebook remained, lying open in the square. The last entry read, "He's not evil, just forgotten, lost in the mist of time. I can feel him pulling me in. If I disappear, remember my name. Remember the man in the fog." The end. If you enjoyed our video, please subscribe to our channel, share the video with others, and don't forget to like it.